Okay, we're good.
Great.
Participants been let in?
Oh yeah, the attendees are
Okay,
let in. Yeah.
okay. Just want to make sure. All right. I think we're ready to go, Brett.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, all right. Well, looks like we've got about 13 people here. That's great. Thanks for coming today and joining for the Bikefill virtual workshop. Really excited to get into this and just get some perspectives from y'all about Bikefill and its design process. My name is Brett Rano. I'm with CRO Planning and Design and working with the rest of the Bikefill team here on public engagement. We have some surveys out right now. We've done a couple focus groups. We've done an in-person public meeting that's similar to this format out in Bozeman, and really excited to be working on this project today. And then I'll introduce Janine and Adam, or let them introduce themselves and just go over a couple of housekeeping things, and we'll dive into it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Janine Eslick. I'm a CRO Planning and Design, and we are helping with the public engagement for this exciting project happening in Bozeman. Adam?
I'm Adam Johnson with Gallatin Valley Land Trust. I'm the Trails Project Manager or Trails Program Manager, and I'm working on this project.
Great. Thanks so much. And so just some housekeeping items. Just make sure if Q&A, if you have any questions, we're going to be have a lot of content to go through today. And so want to make sure that we have time to get to all these points to get y'all's feedback. And so let's, I'd say just if you have a question, ask in the Q&A. I'll be monitoring it in real time as we go. So if we can answer it, we will, or we'll redirect it to Adam, or we can get it back to you. If it's a more detailed response, we can get back to you in writing at some point. And then if you just raise your hand if you have any additional questions, or if we're not answering a question that you might have. Again, we'll have a lot of opportunities for feedback, so we want to keep the discussion rolling throughout the process. And so, yeah, so I'll turn it over to Janine. We can talk about kind of the Menti instructions. You see this this poll here. This is what we'll be doing to collect a lot of feedback. So if you can go to menti.com and enter the following code, which is 69304491. I see there's about 5 people in there right now. Or you can scan the QR code with your phone and access that directly through your phone as well. Again, want to really make sure that we're getting y'all's feedback through that format if we can help it. So we'll just give it like a minute or two so folks can access the Menti poll and then get some more folks in there. So reach out if you have any questions. Put in the Q&A too if you have problems getting with the Menti. Again, hopefully entering that code or scanning that QR code should get you in there. But if you still have issues with it, I'm happy to workshop through that. And so again, we'll give it just like 2 minutes just to let people in. See, there's about 7 people in there right now. And I guess as we're waiting for people to join, Adam, if you want to give just some more context about Bikefill as we wait for folks.
For sure. So Bikefill, if you've been on the Engage Bozeman website, there's quite a bit of background on there. But Bikefill is a bike park that we're working to develop. So it'll be a cycling specific use at the 66 acres, which is located between the existing landfill solid waste division of the city of Bozeman and the Snowfill Dog Park. There's about 66 acres there that has been used in the past to harvest dirt off to cap the old landfill that's no longer being used right next door. But it makes a spot that it would be very good for mountain biking uses. One of our goals of this park is we know the mountain biking community is growing in this community, and this would provide a place for people to learn and progress in their mountain biking skills, and also provides more bike specific trails that will help reduce user conflict on other trails. So this is a great place for mountain bikers to be mountain bikers and have the trails that they want to ride.
Great. Thanks so much. Looks like we got 12 folks in, and then again, if you need that code, just put in the QR code or put in the chat, the Q&A, and I'll respond with that code if you need it throughout, and we'll make sure to hop in and get you that code if you want to get it. But I think we're ready to go, so we'll turn it over to Janine, and we'll start asking some questions for y'all.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Brett and Adam, for the context. All right, so the next slide. Like Adam was saying, this is the Bikefill project. We're doing a virtual workshop to gather more input as we start the planning and design phase. So like Adam was saying, this aims to not only fill needed gaps in the cycling infrastructure of the Gallatin Valley, but it's also going to provide the community with an easy, accessible, world-class bike park experience for all users of all ages and abilities through various trail types. We do have this concept that you can see on the screen. This was the earlier version. This is rapidly changing, but we're just using this graphic for just for context purposes only. But just kind of giving you an idea of the site through this graphic. So we've designed this workshop to understand your journey as you think about when you're going to be going to Bikefill, and we're interested in knowing your pre-trip experience, what you do to get ready to when you go out to bike, what you're looking for when you're at Bikefill in the future, and what your post-ride experience is. So that's the theme of this workshop and the questions that you're going to be seeing. Just wanted to give you some context in terms of the questions that you'll be seeing today. So this is an open-ended question. Imagine that you're going on a typical visit to Bikefill. What kind of information is important to you before you visit? So examples could be, are you looking for weather, closures, any events that are taking place, anything along those lines. So just love to get your input on your pre-trip experience. I'll give you a few moments to just type in your answers.
Yep, so you should be able to just freely respond to these questions and press enter, and you should be able to access the chat. And there we go, perfect. So riding conditions, closures, events, parking availability. Yep. Crowds, directions. Trail conditions. Parking availability, trail status. Yeah, these are all great. Keep them coming.
Mm-hmm.
Trail conditions. Trail map, right? Yeah, and this is all just wanting to think about how our team, as you know, Bikefill is designed, developed, but also just maintained into the future, and that includes information maintenance. So it's not just maintaining the availability of trails, but also the availability of information that's most effective for people to get their information about Bikefill and conditions and everything that helps curate their experience. So wanted to make sure that everything that's proposed is right on the mark. We see events, clinics, so programming. Seems a lot of physical conditions, managerial conditions, programs. And we can give it just about another minute or two and continue rolling on. And again, if you have any questions or discussion points, feel free to drop in the Q&A, and I'm happy to add some perspective and share that as we go through. Horse tour showing first person view. Oh, that's actually, yeah, we haven't heard that one before. That's really interesting.
Mhm.
It's a good idea. Okay. Give it about 1 more minute. All right.
On to the next slide.
Great.
So thinking about that, how you responded last time, or to that last question, where would you go, or where's the most convenient place to go to find out that information? Or where would you look first? Or what's your preference? Social media would be, Facebook, Instagram, those kinds of platforms. If there's perhaps an email alert system, the DVLT website, City of Bozeman. Perhaps if there is a Bikefill specific website, or a third party website like Trailforks or All Trails. What's your preference here?
Great. Seeing responses come in already. Bikefill specific website, social media, email alerts, GVLT's websites, third-party sites, City of Bozeman website. Not uncommon for all the sources. There we go. GVLT websites. So social media, I would say that's usually a typical one for a high. Bikefill specific websites. So thinking of a site just for the park itself or a specific landing page for the site. Less than I would think for third-party sites or trail forks. Usually that's people I know is go to.
Mhm. I have a question in the Q&A.
Yep. So Mary Ellen just mentioned that her last response may not have been saved, so she provided, and I'll make sure to record that.
We'll give this one another minute.
And this information is great because we just want to make sure that one, the information that's being posted is what people want and will help curate their experience to have a high quality one, but also two, that we're distributing this information to the proper channels, knowing where people are going, where people are visiting, to get their sources of information. And it's good to know that both GVLT specific websites and then social media updates to follow seem to be the notice. So that's great. So appreciate the responses there.
Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, and here we're interested in learning about what you normally bring when you're going biking. Could be food, safety equipment, strollers, coolers, those types of items.
And so for this one, I'm sure some folks will say they're bikes. I'd hope so. But also thinking of, how can Bikefill's design accommodate other equipment that you might bring if you're thinking of parents who are going to, ride with their kids or watch their kids as they ride or spend time there as your kids ride, or family members, friends. Thinking just about what kinds of equipment and gear you bring typically on a visit to a bike park, and what you would think for this one, especially so close to the city, if there's anything specific that we should keep in mind as the design process rolls through. So a trailer, that's a big one. Just understanding if people are going to bring trailers or not. And if
One
it,
thing
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to mention, perhaps this is also perhaps another friend or a family member who's not going to be biking, who's just going to be maybe spectating. Just kind of thinking about that as well, like people that you might be bringing who aren't necessarily going to be biking.
Yeah, that's a great point, Janine. Thinking of, not just what you bring, but if you have a partner or a friend or parents or something that comes with you but may not ride, what do they bring as well? So thinking of that, like coolers and chairs. So only what fits in a
Mhm.
backpack. So some people bring more stuff than others. Um, Snacks, water, pump cone, e-pads, 2 bikes, cooler, plus dry beverages, kid trailer, backpack. Great. Give it about another minute. I don't understand. And again, if you're just joining this meeting or you missed the original Menti, you can see the invitation. You can join this discussion at the top of the screen, you can see it says join@menti.com, and you can enter the code 69304491. We'll let you hop right into the meeting and discussion, so you can add your feedback. The more feedback we get, the better we can respond to it. So I'd love to hear some feedback and comments from y'all. Okay, yep, keep ready to go.
Move on to the next slide. Okay, so we're envisioning that there's going to be a hub area near the parking lot, and that's shown in this diagram with the black dot. So here we're kind of just trying to gauge your thoughts on what kind of features or amenities and facilities would you like to see closer to the parking area. You know, features like pump tracks or like some type of warming up course perhaps, or restrooms as facilities, any types of structures that would be nice, a meeting area. So this is kind of this question is kind of related to what you would need in that area that would help with enhance your experience.
Restrooms, always a popular one.
Yep.
Thinking that, yeah, how can this hub area, thinking next to a parking lot, can support your staging, your unloading when you get there, and then also your gathering if you're waiting on friends or something, thinking about like picnic tables or benches or seating. And then also debriefing too. So if you tailgate and you hang out with some friends afterwards, how can you facilitate that through this space? Is there, a little meeting space or gathering spaces like we see? Outdoor classroom space. I like that, especially from the perspective of programs or events you want to host, just for clinics especially. So really just any features that you envision or you'd like to see just to help support that hub experience and that staging and beginning and ending experience while you visit. Bike wash, bike repair area, shade, drop off, crosswalks. Yeah, good markings. Yep, that's really important. Shade and rain cover, registration table, shade structures. Yes, if y'all are familiar with the location of the project, it is pretty sunny. So shade structure is always good. Strider bike track, great. Mini playground. Nice. Restrooms, water bottle filler.
Structure, I like that.
Great. We'll give it about another minute. That was great responses. Typical trailhead. I like the registration table or station. I like the safety features for the crosswalks and sign markers there. Use of paint.
Mm. We've got the solar powered phone charging hub right
Oh,
in front of
wow. Yeah,
that.
yeah. I don't think that's been
Interesting.
proposed yet. Yeah.
Good idea.
It's definitely a good spot for solar power. Good location for it.
Mhm.
Shade. Yep.
Okay. Cool. Head to the next slide. Okay. And then this is thinking about like when you're out on the trails. So what kind of trails are you most interested in seeing at Bikeville?
And if you need any definitions or you're like, what is, what's a technical skill trail or technical skill trails, you can just drop in the Q&A and we'll respond to that. And then if there's also something that you're not seeing that you'd like to include, just also drop it in the Q&A and let us know of why isn't this here? Why am I not seeing this? Is this being thought of? We have some folks that we can direct those questions to. Cross-country trails, technical skills, a little bit of everything. What is slope style? Adam, are you able to provide some more context on slope style?
For sure. Slope style is a type of riding that is kind of a downhill in orientation. It's usually some sort of slope, so you can have some momentum, but it is created through features such as lips and jumps and ramps, but it's all in a connected feature that is a linear course.
Thank you. So we got 3 votes right now. We got 4. We're seeing cross-country trails being popular, followed by flow trails. Some more of those flows, the turns, berms, technical skill trails we'll see in pump tracks. Seeing adaptive all ability trails coming up top 2. Less enthusiasm for an asphalt jump line. Give it a couple more minutes. I'll roll through it. Any more questions or anything, feel free to drop in the chats. And if you need help with joining the Menti poll, that banner up top with the code also helps. We'll get you into it. Give it about 2 more minutes, unless we see some more responses coming in. Thanks for your feedback so far. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Seeing again, cross-country trails, flow trails, technical skills trails, pump tracks, adaptive and all abilities trails, slope style, asphalt jump line as the order. Six responses. See if we get another couple in there. And again, if you just have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. Happy to answer them in real time. Seven. Okay, flow trails takes the lead at the end. Okay. See, we have a phone-in listener, so I'm going to read the results out loud again one more time for folks to hear. For types of trails people would like to see at Bikefill, voted on flow trails, cross-country trails, then technical skills trails, pump tracks, adaptive and all abilities trails, slope style course, and then asphalt jump line. In that order of popularity. And so we'll see another one coming in for slope style course. So that jumps up above pump tracks. Perfect. And if you also have just any other general questions about Bikefill at this time, feel free, you can drop it in the chat. And again, I'm just monitoring the Q&A, and I'll be continuing to monitor that.
Thanks so much, Brett. We'll move on to the next slide. So here we're interested in features and understanding what type of features you'd like to see on the trails. These are berms, drops, wooden ramps, jump lines, wooden boardwalks, mulch jumps, rock gardens for that more technical type trail, bridges, alternate routes. So being able to go around perhaps some features that you wouldn't be comfortable with, and connector trails. Again, if you need any explanation on any of these types of features, please drop them in the Q&A. We're happy to describe anything here. All right, yeah, berms. That goes along with the high desire for the flow trails. As well as rock gardens for those more technical skills based. Drops coming in third, and wooden ramps. Jump lines. No, I'm always a fan of the alternate routes, so always nice to have options.
No more progressive changes and options there. Berms and drops are really pulling away. Berms, drops, rock gardens coming up. Popularity.
Yep.
Jumps. Bridges, mulch jumps, wind ramps. Connector trails. Give it a couple more minutes or a few more responses coming in. Seems like we're getting usually around 8. And again, so just for the caller that's listening on their phone, we asked what features folks would like to see at Bikefill, and they're filling out this online survey right now in real time. And we're seeing the most popular features being berms, followed by drops, then rock gardens, alternative routes, jumps, bridges, then mulch jumps, wooden ramps, connector trails, and then wooden boardwalks in that order of popularity. And so again, this is asking, we asked before before you get to Bikefill, what information would you like to get or receive? How would you like that information received? And then thinking of now that you're at Bikefill, thinking about your on-site experience. So thinking of that parking hub, what would be good for loading and unloading, help staging areas. And now we're talking about what features actually riding the trails. So what features would you like to see as you're riding throughout the course of your time at Bikefill? So thinking about the types of trails and the types of features.
All right, I think we'll move on to the next slide.
Great.
Oh,
one last one got in. Nice. Perfect.
Awesome.
Got her 8.
Okay. So now this question revolves around safety and features that you would prioritize at Bikefill, excuse me. So we're thinking of some beginner only areas, clear signage, emergency access points throughout the site, one-way or directional trails, thinking of a climbing and descending only trails, speed separation zones, fencing to help delineate or what where the climbing trail would be and the descending kind of gives some screening there. And then on-site staff or volunteers. So lowest priority is off to your left and higher priority to your right.
Okay, we're seeing some clear signage and one-way and directional trails seems to be taken off. Speed separation zones, less it looks like enthusiasm for emergency access points, fencing, on-site staff, or volunteers. Thinking more of these self-regulated safety features. So it looks like, directional trails, signage, helping people make their own decisions on safety or self-guidance there. And again, some more beginner-only area enthusiasm. Seems like beyond fencing and then the on-site staff are the two with less enthusiasm, and we're seeing more enthusiasm for these beginner-only areas, more really clean signage. Yep, clear signage and solid directional trails seem to be the two big ones. And then neutrality seems like more around the beginner-only areas and emergency access points and speed separation zones. And then less for fencing and staff. Great. Seeing 9 responses. And so making sure that we address any safety concerns or issues through design, not just through policies and everything like that. And want to make sure design can support a safe experience in addition to a fun one. Okay, I think we're ready to go to the next one.
Okay, so this is another open-ended question. What type of, or what kind of programs and events would you like to see at Bikefill? This is envisions as a youth and family area as well. So I'm thinking about those types of programs or events or clinics, workshops, group rides, anything of that nature that you would be interested to see at Bikefill. Weekly programs, awesome. Can be a great place for that, races. And perhaps specifying what kind of races you'd like to see at Bikefill.
Yeah, thinking cyclocross or course races. Any specific programs, dual slalom races, bike clinics, great. BYC practices. Yeah, thinking about how can, Bikefill not just support individual riding, but also program riding, bringing up younger generations into the sports. How can it serve as a multifaceted facility? Ride kind, tabling, thinking of, are there clinics? Are there, events, series? Yep. You have, bike demos or beginner intro courses. Give it just a couple more minutes on that one. Thinking of, I know there's like adaptive group rides. We've heard some folks talk about. bike race series, courses for particular styles of riding and features. Yeah, so it seems some enthusiasm for races there, programs, clinics, volunteer events. So thinking of volunteer maintenance truck, food trucks, that's a nice one. I haven't heard that one actually.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Private reservations for club events.
Hmm.
And this is all stuff that's great to think about as we, coordinate with the city on permits and uses. That's great to think about of how people perceive it. Food truck event, that one's got my attention. Okay, give it about one more minute. We'll go to the next one.
Right. Okay. So this is an information slide. So we mentioned that hub that's going to be closer to the parking lot. We're also envisioning a hub area near the center of Bikeville, about a quarter mile up the trail network that supports resting, spectating, socializing, and ride preparation, etc. So I just wanted to keep that in your mind as we go on to this next question, and also in this image here, we're thinking about where that red dot is. It's approximately where that would go. So keeping that in mind, what kind of amenities, features, and facilities would you like to see in this area? A little bit further away from the parking area. But repair stations, shade structures, signage, maps, wayfinding, benches, would these types of amenities or features and facilities enhance your experience in this area? And this is another open-ended question. Second, yeah. Answers. Hmm.
Benches. Yeah, thinking of, far away from it, from not far away, but a quarter mile away from the trailhead. So you're out there, you're hanging out for the day. In between rides, this node connects to a bunch of different trails. So thinking about how this space can serve as a place for rest, for socializing, for repairs, for information. Great. Shade, benches, maps. Shade.
That is a popular one, the shade. I want some shade structures.
Yep.
Bunks, the pavilion. Cool. Clean water. Seeing arch structures come up as well. That's awesome. Really like that. Some character to the site.
Close to water, pavilion for club parties. Great.
Maps and trail congestion indicators.
Murals. Yeah, Jenny, I know you mentioned that public art. I think I'm not sure if we've heard that before for community art. That's great for opportunity there. Wildlife species IDs plaque. Ooh, I like that. A little interpretation out there
Mhm.
for the wetland area, which I think this hub will probably be overlooking, or and certainly has some information about that would be great. Some native plants and wildlife.
Yeah, and there's also some mountain ranges that you can see from afar,
The
the
views are
site. So having,
pretty gorgeous.
and so maybe having some interpretation um, to show what you're looking at, or to understand what you're looking at would be
Something like the a mountain
kind of fun.
range viewer. Yep.
Mhm. Give it another minute.
Thanks so much so far for your participation. Really appreciate this feedback. And we'll give you some we'll let you know about some other opportunities to provide more feedback. If you'd like to provide some more detailed feedback, we'll share that at the end as well. So definitely not the only avenue to get some feedback in from you if you're more interested in providing further information or context for us.
Okay, move on to the next slide. So here we're looking for your post-ride experience. What do you do usually when you're done riding for the day? Do you want to hit the pump track again just for a couple of laps? Do you socialize with your friends, like tailgating, having some food, um, stretching? That's always a good thing to do after a long ride. So just interested in hearing your thoughts on your post-ride activities.
Stress, pump track, water, clean bike. Good
Yeah.
routine. Thinking about, yes, tailgating to socialize. Yeah, do you once you're done with a ride, and then again, that kind of helps us think about the design of that hub and that parking lot again. So how can that accommodate or that area of space accommodate, socializing or an Irish exit? That's pretty good. Uh, do you sit around with your friends? Do you have a beer in the back of your truck? Do you use if there's a picnic table available? Would you hang out there? Thinking about debriefing and thinking about if you attend a program, if you're part of a cycling league, do you guys, hang up your bike somewhere and have a debriefing meeting or anything like that? So just thinking about all those aspects and wanting to make sure we're thinking about that as we continue to design Bikefill. So really appreciate this information. Socialized tailgate barbecue. All right.
Mhm.
Post race awards. So some gatherings.
These responses at a food truck area seems like it would be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. Snacks and food and
Yeah.
socializing. Sit around a grass lawn if there was one.
Mhm.
So hanging out, enjoying the beautiful weather. Give it another minute or two. Walk dog. I guess it is right next to Snowfill.
Yep. You, the intent is to have access to
Mhm.
go do that.
Right. I think we're ready for the next one.
And just another follow-up question to that is thinking about features, facilities, and amenities that can support your post-ride activities. Thinking around that hub area at the parking lot again.
Seems like things like shade structures or structures, yep, natural and artificial shade, for socializing, what could facilitate that, especially during the warmer seasons, shade structures, open areas, thinking picnics, facilities or structures, benches, restrooms again, bike racks. You can think of even like other trails, a walking area. Podiums, all right.
That's awesome.
And thanks for sticking with us through so far, giving us all your feedback. We got one more question after this, and so finish out strong with the easy one for you after this one. Clean water source, water fountain, and restrooms. Give it a couple more minutes. Just want to make sure everyone can speak their piece on this. No questions so far. If you have any questions as we begin to wrap up towards the final questions, feel free to that we have for you. Feel free to field us some questions if you have it, and we'll make sure to get those answered as well. Okay, solar power device charging. Yeah, the solar power, I like that. It's a good one. I think especially again for how sunny this place is. It's not a bad perception. Bad idea. Sufficient parking, nearby shade options. Yeah, parking is a big one that we're evaluating right now. Definitely want to have enough parking spaces to support the crowds there. Bathroom at the top of the venue would be nice. Okay. So a little further out, just so you don't have to ride all the way back to the trailhead to go use the restroom. Secure bike locks. Oh,
We haven't seen that. Okay, we'll move on to the final slide here. So now that we've thought about your perfect visit to Bikefill, we want to hear your vision for it. So this is kind of a fun question. In one word or a short phrase, tell us your vision for Bikefill.
so we'd love to hear from as many people as possible about this one. Really just thinking, what is your vision in a word or phrase? What do you see in Bikefill? Downhill in town.
It's close to home trails, easy access, beginner friendly.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, really just what do you envision it
Challenging,
being?
maybe.
Challenging, yeah. Social.
Learning a new,
Yep.
maybe starting a new hobby.
Mhm.
It's just an opportunity to teach. There are friend or family member or a child.
Accessibility, right?
Mm.
Community,
Mm.
family fun. All cyclists are welcome, right? Bike opportunities for all.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I've seen variety of skill level. Yeah. Yeah, so hearing some themes about, community, it's a community bike park, that's accessible, welcoming for any type of cyclist from that have a variety of skill levels. So thinking all the way from young families with kids who are just starting out on bikes, all the way up through challenging courses and expert skill riders, um, and having it be such a local opportunity or local amenity for the city of Bozeman, which is really exciting. Let's give it about one more minute if anyone wants to enter anything else for their short phrase about a vision for Bikefill or word description. And then after this, we'll hand off some more opportunities for you to get some more feedback if you'd like, and learning more about the project. So again, really appreciate everyone who's come in the past hour. It's really been great. Got some great feedback. We're going to take all this information, process it, and we'll turn it around so that all gets incorporated into our design considerations for the project. So making sure that your voices are heard and that we're continuing to refine the design based on what the public wants out of the bike park and their input.
Family fun.
Family friendly fun. Yep. So family focused too. It's a growing sport for sure. I want to make sure to provide an opportunity or a space for a new crowd in biking.
Okay, move on to more ways to get involved. So like Brett was saying, there's still opportunities to provide your input. We still have an online survey active right now. Please, if you haven't seen the survey or filled it out, we would love for you to do that. You can scan the QR code here to fill that out. The Bozeman community has been absolutely phenomenal in terms of responses that we've received thus far. So kudos to the Bozeman community on that. But we anticipate the survey will be open probably for another week or two to just provide any more feedback for Bikefill.
You can also access the survey at the Engage Bozeman website. And so there's a link there. So if you don't want to scan it now or scan this QR code to take the survey right now, just go to Engage Bozeman and the survey link will be right there. I believe it was right above the workshop link.
And this is the QR code to the engagement Bozeman website.
Right. And so again, so we're going to take your responses and your feedback. We're gonna put it in with the everything else, all the other feedback we've been getting as we analyze this and interpret it, and we're continually refining the design of Bikefill based on your input. So really important that you encourage your friends to provide input if they like biking or if they're involved in biking anyhow in Bozeman. We would love to hear their feedback. Non-riders are encouraged. So I would say if you have a family member or someone that you know has an interest either in biking or potentially biking but doesn't ride right now, we'd love to hear also what they would have to say. Really open for anyone who wants to take the survey is open for it. And so we'll continue to get that great feedback from folks and we'll continue to update the designs based on it. So again, your feedback's really important and really appreciated. Like Janine said, feedback from the community has just been absolutely astounding. And so we've gotten a great number of responses and feel really good about what we're hearing from folks. So thank you again. Really want to just pass a kudos to the public for their efforts on this too.
Yes, and then just one last thing that I wanted to mention, we do have two in-person open houses next week. That will be on the 14th and 15th. They'll be at the Gallatin High School and then another one at MSU. And you can find information on that on the Engage Boatman website. But that will be another opportunity to provide your input. I will go ahead and end the presentation.
I think we're, all set. So want to just thank everybody again for attending. If you have any questions about the project itself, we could certainly send out our email addresses. If you have any questions about it, I didn't see any more questions pop up in the Q&A, but if you have any more, you can feel free to either communicate that through a survey response to if you have specific questions after taking it. Always happy to continually obtain feedback and questions from folks to just help provide clarity around the project. So. And so thank you. Yeah, we'll wrap up, give you 3 minutes back to your day. Want to thank you all again for attending, and we're just going to continue on with the public engagement process, but really encourage y'all to stay involved as we continue through the project. So thank you again.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.